Imagine a city in 19th century Europe, where a ticking social bomb explodes quietly, anti-Semitism. Its street signs, newspapers, whispered meetings. But this isn't just cruelty, it's the seedbed for something monstrous, totalitarianism. How does hatred morph into a regime that destroys individuality and rewrites reality? Hannah Arendt walks us through these shadows to reveal a terrifying genealogy, the origins of an unprecedented political horror that still haunts us today. What if the story isn't just history, but a warning flashing in neon? Let's start with the unlikely birthplace of totalitarianism, anti-Semitism in 19th century Europe. This wasn't random hate. It evolved into an ideological engine that shattered class divides and forged new masses. Arendt describes the Jews in Central Europe, from places like Vienna's coffee houses, where increasing anti-Semitism pushed them into societal corners. Not just victims, but symbols blamed for capitalism's failures and social upheavals. This scapegoating paved the way for political movements that turned prejudice into policy, setting a chilling precedent. Think of society like a neat stack of playing cards, nobles, bourgeoisie, workers. But when capitalism fails, the deck collapses into a pile. Arendt shows how classes fade, leaving a flooded mass of isolated individuals floating without anchors. Like a crowd at a stadium waiting for a spark, these disintegrated masses become fertile ground for totalitarian claims. Isolation isn't just loneliness, it's a precondition for control. Arendt argues that totalitarianism feeds off people cut off from community, family, or tradition, conditions that Nazism and Stalinism aggressively manufactured. Isolated, people stop seeing themselves as unique and become vulnerable to collective identity, the raw material totalitarians crave. Next, Arendt shows how these masses don't just happen, they're manipulated. Propaganda isn't just ads or speeches, it's a relentless machine smearing reality until truth becomes a stranger. In Nazi Germany and Stalinist Russia, propaganda wasn't flaky spin, it was a total system. Arendt paints chilling scenes of relentless newspapers and radio broadcasts erasing fact, no matter how absurd, drowning audiences in a flood of fabricated truths that demanded belief, like the grotesque Jewish world conspiracy myth. Propaganda isn't just lying, it's like breathing fog into a mirror. You don't need to erase reality, just blur it so badly people can't see straight. Arendt likens it to a noise machine that jams all signals except the one the regime wants. Over time, this breaks the audience's ability to trust their own judgment. What's shocking is how this system doesn't just fool people temporarily, it remakes their internal reality. The mass, bombarded day after day with consistent falsehoods, begins to live inside the regime's narrative. Reality fractures and individuals become thoughtless cogs, critical thinking replaced by robotic certainty. Finally, Arendt betrays the heartbeat of totalitarian regimes: terror. Not just fear, but a calculated tool transforming society into a living prison. Arendt recounts stories from Stalin's purges, from Moscow's endless show trials to the sudden disappearances in gulags, highlighting how terror was made law. Arrests had no logic or reason. The randomness itself punished society. You never knew if you were next, and that unpredictability bred obedience born not of loyalty but paralyzing fear. Imagine being locked in a glass cage. You see the world, but it sees you too. Arendt explains how secret police and informants created this psychological jailer effect, stripping away privacy and turning neighbors into spies. Terror overwhelmed normal social bonds, making trust a dangerous currency. Arendt's final insight here is poetic yet brutal. Terror doesn't only silence voices, it unravels the social fabric itself. The constant fear erodes identity, pushing people deeper into the isolation that totalitarianism requires. You don't just obey out of fear, you become unrecognizable even to yourself. Remember that forgotten cafe in Vienna where hatred quietly ripened? Arendt shows us it's no accident how totalitarianism grows, layer by layer, baiting isolation, building lies, backing fear with violence. Today, the challenge is spotting these seeds early, not waiting for tyranny's a full bloom. So here's a thought. Next time you see reality distorted or community broken, pause and ask, are we already marching down Arendt's road? Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.